Hello beautiful people, before jumping on to our actual video, I recommend you to create a new project on your Firebase, and you should watch this video if you don't know how to configure your Firebase with Flutter. But if you are done that, we are good to go. So behind the scenes, I had already configured my Pizzato with my Firebase. So under my Firestore collection of our Firebase console, I have here two collections for the business one and for the favorite one. The favorite one collections contains 3 different documents, which contains all your different fields for image, category name, price and ratings, and same goes for our business category. But the only difference between both the collections is about the not price, that is the discount rate. So before jumping on to actual coding, this is our prototype which we will be building today, that is after the Mr. Alexander V. Okay, I spelled it right, Alexander V from Pure Web UI. This is the UI that we are going to implement today, and the following UI is very fantastic. I love it very much. Let's get started with the video with just one shot of subscribing my channel. So if you have done that, we are good to go. Alright, so now let's get started with the actual coding. So if you observe in our previous tutorial, we have implemented the following screen, which will have nothing but a red color, but I removed the red color. Yes, I am not lazy at that. So first thing first, we will simply have a background color to be of colors of white. After providing a color, we will also have a body. So under the body, first of all, I will have a body to be a single child scroll view. It will have a child to be a column. All of the children are going to be under a entire different classes, cause I believe in a clean code. So to do that, we can simply move under our helpers, and under our helpers create a new file for the headers first. So here I will simply writing a new file, let's say headers dot dot, and under this header we will have a class for the header itself. So under the headers it is going to be extending for a provider. So for implementing a provider, we will be needing a change notifier. So I will be simply using a change notifier. Now as we have implemented the following header, we can simply move under our main.dart file. We can simply remove this and have a multiple provider. So under this multiple provider, it will be taking a list of all the providers that are available under our Pizzato. So here for this provider, I will simply have a change notifier value, the value of headers. So after providing the following value, we will have children as well. So I will simply return the following material app. So let's reload our entire application once. So under our header, first of all, we will be having an app bar for an entire home page. So for that, I will be simply returning a new widget, let's say an app bar itself. So under this app bar, it will be taking a build context to be a context. So for the current app bar data, I will be simply returning a row. So under this row, first of all, I will have a main axis alignment for a space evenly. And after this, we are going to have children for an entire app bar. So the first children is going to be an icon button for the account itself. So under this icon button, I will simply have an icon. And guess what? I am going to fetch my icon from font awesome icons. Easy as that. And from here, I will be simply using user alt, and on press, it is doing nothing for now, which is going to be null. So after having the following icon button, we will have one more text field, which is going to be handling our user location according to its coordinates. So for that, I can simply write a text, some random thing. So here I will simply write new police area or any sort of thing. Let's have some styling to it. Alright, so after having the following text, we can simply wrap our entire text under a row, and under this particular row we can have one more icon for the GPS thing. It looks more fancy. This I can simply use font awesome icon of location arrow. Cool, let's have a comma here. Don't cry buddy. So after having the following row, we will have one more icon button. So for that, I can simply copy this thing and paste it here. So here, instead of this, I will be simply returning a search. Cool as that. Now let's do one thing, that is give some color to our search. I know it's default black, but in title tutorial we are going to change our entire theme. So we have completed our entire app bar. So now let's do one thing, that is simply wrap under a padding to our entire app bar from only, let's say, off top. So under our home page, we can simply get access to the following widget. So for that, I can simply enter the name of the class, which is headers itself. From this, I will be simply fetching app bar. So we can simply reload our entire application once. So we have our app bar here. Now we can simply do one thing, that is change the icon color. Cool, it's look more cool now. So after having the following thing, we are going to have our header text. So for header text, we can simply come down of our app bar, which is our widget, and here we will have our header text. So for that, I will be simply returning a widget. So under our following header text, we can simply return a following text. So for that, first of all, we will simply give our entire text some constraints. So for making the availability of constraints, I am going to use a container. So for this container, first of all I will have some constraints. So for the constraints, alright, where's the constraints? Okay, for the constraints I will simply use a box constraints. So I will have a max width of 300 and it shall be okay. So after having this, I will have a child to my container to be a text, not a text but a rich text. So under the rich text, first of all we will have a text under the type of text pan. Cool. So under the following text pan we will have a text first. So here I will simply write word or any sort of tagline. Let's have some styling to it. Now after having the following text, we will have children, which are going to be under type of text pan. So I can simply write up under a curly braces and simply write here text pan. So under this children, first of all we will have a children for a text pan itself. So here I will simply write a text pan. So under this text I will simply write here. Let's have some styling as well. Alright, so we have our text completed, format document once. Now let's also do one thing, that is simply go under a home page, and after the following header we will have our another thing, which is our header text. So for that I can simply write a header dot header text. Alright, give a comma here. Cool, so we have our thing here. Now let's do one thing, that is give some entire more constraints to it. So for that I can simply write 250. Alright, so you can format document first. So we have our header text here. So after having the following header text, we will be also requiring one more thing, which is nothing but about the following header data. So for that we can simply go back under a header text and have a header menu. So for header menu I will be simply creating one more widget. So for that I will be simply write here widget. So it will simply take a build context to be a context. So under our widget of header menu we are going to be simply returning a row. So under our row, first of all we will have our main axis alignment for a space evenly, our usual stuff. So after having this thing we will have a children to our entire row. So under the children I will first of all have a gesture editor, which on tap for now does nothing. So for now it will simply have a children. So under this children I can simply have a container. So under the container first of all I have a dimensions to it. So let's have a height of 40 I guess, and similarly a width of 100. So after having this thing it will simply have a child to be under a center, and under this center it will have a child to be a text. So under this text it will have all its attribute, and the attribute are going to be all food, our first category. So it will simply have some styling, also have some decoration to our entire container. So here under decoration I will have a box decoration. So under this decoration, first thing first I will simply have a box shadow. So under this box shadow, first of all I will have a box shadow itself. So under this box shadow I will have a color. So for the color I can use any of my favorite color, but for now I will be simply using a red color. And after that I will have a blur radius as well. So for blur radius I will be simply using 15. Well, not 154 but 15. So after having our box shadow we can have our border radius. So for that I will be simply writing a border radius to be a border radius, let's say from all. And for the radius I will be using simply the class of radius. And for this circular I will be simply having a radius of 50. Easy as that. And after having the following border I will also have a color to my entire container to be colors, let's say gray, and from the gray of a shade of 100. Now let's test it up. So here I will simply copy this thing, and after having our folder header text we will have our header thing. So here I will be simply writing header menu. Alright, so we have our data here for all food. Now let's go back and simply wrap up our entire gesture data one more time and simply paste it twice, also one more time. So here instead of this I will have a pasta. Now let's do one thing, that is simply change the color of our entire container. So for this let's have a green color, and here we will have a category of our pizza. Yeah, I am hungry now. So I will simply writing light blue accent. Alright, so we have 3 of our categories up and ready. Now let's do one thing, that is simply wrap our entire row under a padding. So for padding I mean a padding from top. Cool, 20 is enough. So after having the following thing we will have our one more header text for all of our favorite thing. So for that we will have one more widget here. Alrighty, so under our headers we can simply scroll down. So after having the following thing we will have one more data about the following favorites. So instead of wrapping everything under our headers file, let's create a new file for the middle data. So for that I will be simply writing a new file for middle. Now you may think that I am creating more files, but remember one thing, the more the files, that is the more the sorted the code, the more the better. So under this file first of all we will have a class for all the middle helpers. Alrighty, easy as that. So under this class, it will be extending a change notifier, our usual stuff. Now after we have done this thing, let's move under our main file and assign one more change notifier. So for that I can simply copy this, come down here, paste it one more time, but instead of headers we will have middle helpers. So under this change notifier we are going to have all of our data which is going to be in the middle. So for the middle, first of all I will simply have a text for all the favorite data. So for that I will be simply returning a new widget for text fav or any sort of thing. Now under this I will be simply returning a new rich text. So here I will be simply writing return rich text. But now let's do one thing, move under our headers, that is under our rich text we have implemented here. Copy this and paste it one more time cause we need to save our time. So here instead of this I will be simply using different attributes, and the attributes is, and here instead of to it we will have our dishes. Now let's have some entire shadows to our entire text. So for that I can simply add shadow, and under the shadow I will be simply using a box shadow, our usual stuff. So under the box shadow I will be simply adding a color. So for the color I will be simply using a black color. Also after having the following color I will have a blur radius of 1 shall be enough. Cool, format document first. So after having the following thing we have more attributes to our dishes as well. So let's do it up. Let's copy our shadow from here and paste it here. Let's have some gray color along with some 0 blur radius. Cool. So we have completed our text here. So here after having the following headers we will have our middle helpers, but before that let's have a divider first. Cool. So after having the following divider we will have our middle helpers, and from this we will have our text which is favorite. Alright, so now let's do one thing, that is simply wrap our entire rich text under a padding from top. Cool, format document first. So now if you simply observe our entire scaffold under our column, we can be simply have some main axis alignment of main axis alignment from start. Similarly for cross axis alignment to be a cross axis alignment from start. Alright, also let's do one thing, that is simply wrap under a padding. Cool, so everything is wrapped up properly. Now no worries, I am going to change the font of our entire Pizzato in our next tutorial. But for now, let's have whatever we have for now. After having the following thing, we are going to have data from our cloud Firestore. So for that we are going to be needing under a services folder. If you observe, we have created our services folder. So here I will simply write a new file for data. So here I can simply write a new file for manage data.dart. Now under this file, first of all we will have a class. Cool. Now it will be extending from our change notifier as well, the usual stuff. And the next usual stuff is writing the change notifier under our entire multiple providers. So for that I can simply copy this, and here instead of this I will simply write here manage data. Easy as that. So under our class of manage data we are going to have all of our data from cloud Firestore. So for that, first of all I will be simply returning a new future method for getting a data. So for that I will be simply writing a new method, let's say fetch data, and under this we are going to provide a collection. So for that I can simply write here collection. Now under the following method it is going to be asynchronous. So first of all let's have some instance of our Firebase Firestore. Alright, so once we have our instance up and ready, we can simply have a query snapshot to be a query snapshot which will be simply awaiting for the Firebase Firestore instance. And from this, first of all we will simply grab the collection of the collection itself, and from this we can simply get all of our data using get parameter. So once everything is done, we can simply return all of the documents by using return query snapshot.docs. Easy as that. So let's move under our middle folder. So after having our text, that is our text fav, we will have one more widget for handling the future thing, that is a future builder. So for that I can simply add a widget, let's say data from fav. Okay, I'm bad at naming but it is okay for now. So under this, first of all I will have build context to be a context, also a string for a collection. So under this widget we can be simply return a future builder. I will be simply returning a container. Let's have some dimensions to it. So under this container, first of all I will have a child to be a future builder, and thanks to awesome Flutter snippets, after writing FUT the following pop-up will be appeared. So under this future we will be simply having a future from our provider class which is our manage data. So for that I can simply write here provider, and from this I will be simply getting all of our data. Now let's give a type of provider to it which is manage data itself, and under this we will be simply listening to our entire data. So I can simply write here listen to be a false one. So after having the following thing, okay, give angular bracket here. So from here we can simply catch up entire data. So for that I will be simply adding fetch collection. Cool. Also we won't be needing any initial data, so we can remove that. So under the return statement we are going to return something, and the something is going to be under a condition if we have our data or not. So first thing first, I will be simply writing if snapshot dot connection state is under a connection state of waiting. We will be simply returning a new center. Alright, so here I will be simply writing return center. It will have a child from our lottie. So here I will simply write a lottie dot asset, and from this asset we are going to fetch some asset from our pub.yaml file. So here I will simply wrap up the following animation and paste it under our name. Cool. So once the following thing is done, we can simply return our list view builder. So for that I can simply write lst and b. So under this following thing, alright, give a comma here. Under our item count I can simply write a snapshot dot data, and from this data I will be simply wrapping up the entire length. Under our entire return statement we are going to be returning a gesture detector. So here I will simply write gesture detector. So on typing the following gesture detector, nothing shall be happening for now. So after having the following onType method, we are going to have a child to our gesture detector. So under the child for our gesture detector, we are going to return a container. So under this container we are going to have a child of a column, and under this column we are going to have all of our children. But first thing first, let's have some alignments. So under these children we are going to have all of the children which is shown right on the screen there. So if you observe under our children, first of all we will be simply having a size box, and for the following size box we are going to be simply implementing a stack, cause we also have an icon, that is icon button of typing that we have loved or not loved it, that is simply an heart. So under this tags, first of all I will simply have a size box. So under this size box I will simply have an height, let's say 180 shall be enough, and under the child I will be simply have my image from network. So as a child I can simply return an image dot network. Where is network? Okay, network. So under the source we are going to have our source from snapshot dot data. Let's have some index from our list view builder, and from this data we are going to grab the entity which is nothing but the image itself. So format document first. So after having the following stack, we will have one more widget for position. So under this position, first of all we will have a child to be an icon button of heart. So under this icon button, first of all we will have an icon of icon from eva icons dot heart. Alright, also we will have an onPress method which will be null for now. Cool. So now once we have provided a child to our position, let's have some alignment to it. So for now I will simply have alignment from left to be 140. Cool. So we have completed our this thing right here. So after having the following stack, we will have other data to our container as well. So under the following data to our container, we will have a text for the name of the following dish. So for text I can simply write here snapshot.data. Alright, let's copy this, paste it here. So instead of having the image, I will be simply having a name. Also let's have some styling to it. So after having the following text, we will have one more text. So I can simply copy this entire text from here. But before that, let's have some padding to our text from top. So after having this, I can simply copy the entire padding, paste it here, and simply have a 4 padding from here top. Okay, it shall be enough. So here instead of that, I will have a category which is the entity name. So here under this, I will have some different color of cyan. Also let's decrease some font size of 16. Also let's have some stronger weight to our font. Cool. So after having this padding, let's test it out first. So but first thing first, I can simply go under my list view and have some scroll direction to it of axis dot horizontal. Cool. So we can simply copy our data fav, move under this, and here I will simply add middle helpers dot data fav, and under the collection I am going to have a collection from favorite one. Press Ctrl and S. Alright, we have our animation loading, which is quite funny. Okay, so we are getting error here cause we need to reload our entire application once. So let's reload it. Alright, so we have all of our data here, which is quite complicated. So let's make it up right. So under our middle one, we can simply go at top first and remove this question mark from there. Also let's have some color to our entire heart. So for color, I can simply add here color to be color dot red. So after having the following padding, we can come down here and have our other attributes as well. But before that, let's have some entire padding to our entire container. So where is the return statement? Okay, so here we can simply wrap up under a container. So we can simply wrap our container under a padding. Alright, it's more cool now. So here under our container, we will have our other attributes first. So if we simply check our prototype, we will be simply having a row. So now let's implement a row first. So after having the following padding, we will have one more row. Alrighty. So under this row, it will have children. So under this children, first of all, we will be simply having a children of icon. So for that, I can simply enter icons dot star, having a color of colors of yellow. And after that, we will have one more text, but let's copy one more time. So I can simply copy the entire text from here and paste it here. So instead of this, we will have our ratings. Easy as that. So under our styling to our entire text, we can simply make it some less weight. Alright, so we have our styling here. So let's make it a gray color first. Alright, so after having the following thing, that is after having the following styling, we will have one more thing, that is padding. Yeah, padding is important. So here if you observe, after having the following row, we will have one more row. So let's do one thing, that is simply inherit one more row. So after having the following row, we can simply copy this, paste it one more time, but instead of this, from the font awesome icon, we will have our icon. So here for this, I will be simply writing font awesome icons dot rupees sign. Alright, so let's change the attributes, that is a color. So here we won't be needing any color because the default color is black. So under this, I will be simply having the price, but the following thing is number, so I will be simply wrap under an integer. So after having this thing, we will have a black color. Cool, press Ctrl and S. Alright, so we have our thing here. Now let's wrap entire thing under some space evenly manner. So here I will be simply writing main axis alignment for a space evenly. So let's decrease some size of our entire icon. Let's say 12. Okay, this is cool. Alright, so let's have some padding to it from lonely for left 30. Alright, so this thing is up and ready. So we have all of our data here, but the only thing is remaining is about the decoration. So let's go up, but before that, let's have some gray color to it as well. Alright, so under our entire container, which is somewhere top, which is quite initiate. So under this, we will have a decoration to be a box decoration. So under the box decoration, we will have a box shadow under some list. So under this, I will have a box shadow first. So here I will be simply having a box shadow. Under this, I will simply have a color to our entire box shadow. So for color, I will be simply using colors of gray. So here I will be simply adding colors of gray from a shade of 500. So after this, we'll also have some blur radius and similarly some spread radius of 3 shall be enough. Also let's have some height and width to our entire container, which is defined one. So height of 300 and width of 200 shall be enough. Also let's have some border. So under this, I will have some border radius to be a border radius dot all, and under this I will be simply using the radius class, the usual stuff, dot circular. Let's have some border of white. Also let's have some default color to it of colors of white. Alright, this thing is looking more cool now. So you can format document first. So now let's do one thing, that is under our padding, we will have one more padding thing done. So if we observe under our child, we have a column. So we can simply wrap it under a center. So let's do one thing, that is simply refactor it under a padding as well from left. Let's try for 20. Alright, so this is looking more perfect now. Now you may observe that we have some blurred things up and ready, which is about the font. But no worries, we are going to change our font of our entire thing in our next tutorial. Now you know what, the following tutorial is quite stretched as I thought of. So in the next tutorial, we are going to implement the below screen, which is about the business, also having a following floating action button. So I hope you will be joining me in the next tutorial of this fantastic adventure of building up a pizza shop, that is our Pizzato. So if you have loved this tutorial, please hit that like button and also share this video under your social network, that is on Instagram, LinkedIn or wherever you want. I will be very happy. And while implementing it, if you have any problems, kindly DM me on my Instagram. I will be replying to you as soon as possible. Also, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe So I will see you in the next one while implementing our business things. So with that said, have a good day, eat good pizza, goodbye.